welcome to another Adafruit AdaBox unboxing. Today we're going to be doing ADABOX005. This one is our 1-year anniversary AdaBox. We've been doing it for a year, so thanks to everybody who subscribed. So ADABOX5 is going to be a little bit different than the previous 4. If you remember, the last 4 AdaBoxes were all Adafruit feather based. We're going to take a turn and go into the wild woods of Raspberry Pi for this AdaBox. So stick around and we're going to unbox this amazing new ADABOX005. Okay, so you got your box in the mail, time to unbox it. So open up the flap, and then you'll see your AdaBox, yay! So you can take this out, and don't forget, underneath, we have some free goodies. We worked with the Pi Foundation to get you some cool stuff, like a free issue of the Magpie. This is issue number 60. It's got Raspberry Pi projects, tips, to-dos, all sorts of good stuff, news in the community. It's a really wonderful magazine made by the Pi Foundation. They also tossed in some cool stickers, this Raspberry Pi sticker and this one that actually looks like a Pi 3. If you want to use the Raspberry Pi operating system Pixel on a recycled computer or maybe an old laptop, it's great. It works on even slower old computers. So check that out. This is the x86 CD-ROM. So you can just pull this out. It's free. It's Linux, and you can install it on any computer, so you can have all the joy of Pixel on your home PC or laptop. Okay, now it's time to unbox the AdaBox itself. So as normal, remove the sleeve. And underneath, we've got our parts list. So everything that comes with your AdaBox, you can check it and you can see the real names of them. And then we also have coupon codes and links to guides and tutorials. So keep this handy as you're putting together your AdaBox 5. We also worked with other partners, not just the Pi Foundation, but we have a plethora of awesome groups and companies that worked with us on this AdaBox 5. First up, Pimeroni. They included the hammer headers in this kit, and we also give you a coupon code. So if you'd like to pick up something from Pimeroni, we stock a whole bunch of their stuff in the Adafruit store. You get 15% off your next Pimeroni purchase. So check out this coupon code. And of course, Adafruit stuff is also stocked at Pimeroni. So if you're in the UK or in England and you want to check out some cool Adafruit stuff, go to Pimeroni.com and check out their awesome, beautiful store. They make great Raspberry Pi accessories and tutorials, and their photography is beautiful. So I just like looking at their photos. Next up, we worked with Autodesk. They are the makers of EagleCAD, which is the software that I used to design the Joy Bonnet in the ADABOX005. This is even the EagleCAD layout for the board. So if you would like to design your own circuit boards, why not? I do it all the time. It's super fun. You can download a free copy of EagleCAD. There's a link on the back here. And also you can subscribe if you're a professional and you want to use EagleCAD at work. There's millions of users, so check it out. I like EagleCAD a lot. And finally, we've got DigiKey Corner. So DigiKey has been working with us on a bunch of AdaBoxes, and this time we have included a coupon for a purchase from DigiKey of this really cool, cute little display that you can use with your ADABOX005. You can get 25% off. It's a really good deal. So go to digikey.com. DigiKey also, of course, stocks a bunch of Adafruit stuff as well. So if you're buying stuff from DigiKey, and I love it, Thief River Falls, represent. They stock almost everything that we carry, so you can get really fast shipping and great service and pick up 4 resistors at the same time. Okay, now we're on to the AdaBox itself. So opening this up, got our lovely tissue paper, and inside, the Raspberry Pi goodness. So as we mentioned, this AdaBox is Raspberry Pi themed. So we did 4 boxes with Feather, and that was wonderful, but we wanted to do something a little different. So this time we have something that's almost the size of Feather, but it's a full computer. This is the Raspberry Pi Zero. It is from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and it's a full ARM computer with HDMI out, USB, a camera connector, an SD card slot, and these wonderful little points here that you can connect accessories to. It's just really neat. You know, this is a computer that is so small, you can put it in your pocket, you can turn it into almost anything, you can embed it in wearables, and so we're really excited to maybe have this as part of ADABOX005. We also include an enclosure that you can use to keep your Raspberry Pi Zero safe. So your Raspberry Pi Zero can go in this lovely case. You can snap out this to plug add-ons that we include. It's got holes for the SD card, HDMI, and USB. So it's a nice little protector. And when you're using your Pi, you should keep it in the protector because it's very delicate on its own. We also have our special collectible pin. So this pin is Joy. Joy is a little game controller. She loves to game. And as you know, every AdaBox we include a collectible pin. You can only get it if you're a subscriber. So all you subscribers know you probably have 4 pins by now. This is your 5th collectible. So wear it with pride. I'm going to wear it for the rest of this unboxing. And for the Raspberry Pi Zero, we want to add a joy bonnet on top, but instead of making you solder the headers on, we decided we would go with a really cool invention from Pimeroni. They're called hammer headers. And they're solderless headers. You don't need to use a soldering iron or solder or any other like electronic tool. You just use a hammer to put the headers in. So when you cut open this bag, you'll note inside is a little jig, and this is the jig that you use to keep the Raspberry Pi Zero steady while you hammer the header in. And you also get one of these special headers. So this is the header that fits into these points on the Pi Zero, but instead of soldering them in place, you actually hammer them in. And there's these little nubs in them that when you hammer this hammer header into the Pi, they sort of expand and grip onto the side of each one of those solder points, so you don't need to solder it in place. Very convenient. We also include our own special Joy bonnet, which is what Joy, the pin, is based off of. This is a little add-on to the Raspberry Pi that lets you turn it into a game controller. So when you plug this into the Pi Zero and you install software on it, it turns into your own little arcade controller, which is really fun. You don't need to add anything else. And it comes with a little analog joystick, select start button, A, B, X, Y. So you can play almost any kind of game on this. And all you have to do is install those hammer headers first. To fill out the rest of your Pi Zero experience, we give you an SD card. This is an 8 gig card. It comes with noobs on it, but you're going to reinstall RetroPie, which is this really cool retro arcade operating system, onto this SD card. So keep this handy. In order to install that software, we're going to also give you a USB micro SD card reader. You may or may not have one already, but in case you don't, we include it. You can stick the micro SD card into the slot here, plug it into your computer, and then run software from the guide on how to put RetroPie onto that SD card. You also get a USB on-the-go cable. This cable plugs into the Pi Zero, and then it gives you a full-size USB connector. So if you have a mouse or a keyboard or a joystick that has USB, you can do that, plug this in, and you can add more hardware and accessories to your Pi Zero. We also give you a mini HDMI to HDMI converter. Just like that on-the-go cable, this plugs into the HDMI connector and gives you a full-sized HDMI slot. So chances are you have HDMI cables kicking around your house. You can plug in your TV or monitor. You'll need a full-size cable to adapt to the mini HDMI on the Pi Zero. So this is that adapter. This power plug will let you power the Pi Zero. It's a pretty good power adapter with a nice long cable, so you can plug this into the wall, and then this will power your Pi for a very long time and any additional accessories that are plugged into it. In case you do have a soldering iron, you don't want to use the hammer headers, we also include a plain 2x20 header. For this one, like I said, it's not hammer header, so it goes all the way through, and then you would solder it in place. For the people who have an AdaBox and they have a soldering iron, you might want to go with this because it's very mechanically strong, and chances are you want to practice your soldering anyways. And finally, we're going to give you a 5-foot mini HDMI to HDMI adapter cable. So this way you can plug the Pi Zero directly into an HDMI monitor or TV. This side plugs directly into the Pi Zero like so. And then you get a full 5 feet, and then this can plug into any monitor or TV you have. So it's very convenient in case you don't have an HDMI cable already. This one is all-in-one and easy to go. So this is how we're going to be connecting our Pi Zero with the Joy-Con on top to a TV to play games. And that's it. So are you ready for some Pi action? We're going to put this together, and then we're going to play some games on it. Okay, now that you've got your ADABOX005 unboxed, it's time to put it together. Now the first thing I recommend doing is burning the SD card, because it takes a little bit of time. So take the SD card out of this plastic packaging. And you'll also want to remove it from this adapter and place it into the SD card reader. Now, if you have your own, it might be a little bit faster, so use that, but we've got this one. Now, you'll want to use your laptop or desktop computer to burn the RetroPie distribution onto it. So follow the guide, download the image link, and then use Etcher to program that in using this adapter. And while that's happening, we're going to continue on and make the rest of the kit. While you're burning your SD card with the RetroPie image, you're going to want to put those hammer headers onto the Pi and hammer them in. So take out the hammer header kit, and you're going to want to assemble the jig first. So put the screws through here, and then you can lay them down like that. And then the screws actually help you line up the Pi like so. Take the hammer headers and you kind of place them lightly in the spot. Make sure that you're hammering them onto the top so you can see the chip and the SD card and all those connectors. Then you can put the little protector jig on top, and then you'll want to just gently hammer evenly. Start a little light, then you can hammer a little harder, and you'll feel it get into place. You can check. Looking pretty good. I'm going to give it a couple more hammers, just for good measure. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, yeah, so now you've got those hammer headers permanently attached to your Pi Zero. Again, if you have a soldering iron, you can also take the non-hammer headers and solder them in. But these are kind of fun because it's a hammer. Okay, now that you've installed the hammer headers into your Raspberry Pi Zero and the SD image is done burning, you can now install it into the enclosure. Take out the micro SD card from the reader, and you'll want to insert it into the Pi Zero and make sure it's seated nice and well. It does stick out a bit, and that's normal. Take the Raspberry Pi enclosure and peel the top off. You can then insert the Pi and snap it into place. So it'll sit nice and sturdily inside. And then take only this top part and snap it on top. And you can see there's a little bit of a hole that lets the GPIO pin stick out. Then you can take your Joy bonnet and line it up, all 20 by 2 pins, and plug it in. It'll also snap in place, and you'll have a nice compact little gaming platform. Okay, so you've hammered your headers, you've burned your SD cards. Now it's time to play some games. You're going to need a monitor with HDMI input. You can use your TV, your computer monitor, anything you've got in the house with HDMI. Take your Pi plus Joy bonnet, plug in the HDMI cable into the mini HDMI slot. For the power pack, plug it into good power and plug in the micro USB cable into the left USB plug. And it's going to take you a moment to boot up the Linux kernel on the Raspberry Pi. So don't worry if it takes a few minutes. You're going to see a bunch of text on your monitor. You're going to see the RetroPie splash screen. It's also going to say emulation station. That's all normal. Just hang out and sit tight while your Raspberry Pi boots up. Okay, once you've gotten to this screen, your Raspberry Pi is booted up and it's ready to play games. Now for each emulator, like you've got MAME or Game Boy or Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Game Gear or whatever, you're going to need ROMs. These are the games themselves that you'll need to be loaded onto the Pi. We've preloaded the Pi with some really cool DIY games and free games and open source games that the community has written, but you can also look online to find more ROMs for your favorite arcade and retro games. So let's, for example, start playing a Game Boy Color game. You can control which game to play by using the joystick, just move left and right. And then the A button will select the emulator, and then you'll get a list of all the games available to play. Then press A again to play that game. Once it's loaded, you can use the joystick buttons just like you expect, up, down, left, right, select start, A, B, X, Y, and 1 and 2. If you have a monitor with speakers built in, you're going to hear audio. This little monitor doesn't, so it's nice and quiet. So you can play, for example, this game. It's a little, jewel match game. When you're ready to quit the game, press select and start together. and it'll take you back to the emulator selection. And then you can press B to go and play maybe a Game Boy game, like Super Princess. Kind of like a cross between rescuing a princess and playing Metroid. Then you can press, A to jump usually, B to shoot. I'm not very good at this game. And again, when you're done, press select and start together to exit out back into the emulator. One of the neat things about the Raspberry Pi is it's a very small and low power computer. So there's a lot of things you can do with it that you can't do with like a big desktop computer, such as this setup, where you can use our little 5-inch TFT display, and you can battery power the whole thing from a USB power pack. You can pick up this display from DigiKey, 25% off. Just use the coupon on the back of this insert. You can see you can make a nice little portable gaming system. You might want to get some shorter cables, but other than that, it works great. Get it. So that's ADABOX005. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. There's a lot of other tutorials and projects we're going to show you can do with the Raspberry Pi Zero and the Joy-Bon. It's not just fun and games, although we like fun and games here at Adafruit. So thank you for watching, and stick around. We got ADABOX006 coming in 3 months.
And we're back.
Hey, Raspberry-licious.
All right.
Okay.
Woo!
That's exciting.
All right. So
Thank you, past me.
Yeah, that was a ADABOX unboxing video and more. Let's do this, Lady Ada.
Yeah.
So
some questions.
Yeah.
Answers. Chit chat.
Yeah. I thought we'd do a few things first.
Okay.
So let's talk about what's in the ADABOX with some of these photos.
Yes.
So box.
You get a lovely box.
Yeah.
With these cutouts.
Yeah.
So you get your full Raspberry Pi Zero pack. Because I wanted to, as I mentioned, I wanted to do something that wasn't just feathers. We did, 4 quarters of feathers. That's a year's worth of feather fruit. And I was like, well, I want to try something different. And I wanted to do something with Raspberry Pi because I thought, that'd be really cool to get people a different kind of platform to play with. And the challenge was, how do you get somebody a full computer and an experience that they can enjoy with a Raspberry Pi when, Raspberry Pi, just you have to do it for under $60. So, we ended up talking to Raspberry Pi Foundation. They suggested, hey, why don't you do the Raspberry Pi Zero? And then Pi Maroni, had this really cool hammer header kit that we'll show in a moment. Yeah. And that kind of let us solve the problem of like, well, we want to have something to plug it into without having to solder, because the box have to assume no soldering. So they kindly helped us out, and they made a special hammer header kit that just has the male headers in it, and a nice thick plastic that stands up to hammering, and we'll show that in a moment. And then we're like, well, what add-on should we add? And I think you and I chatted, and we thought, well, people really love to make arcade games with Raspberry Pi, so let's give them a Joy Bonnet, which we had just designed, and we even made a character called Joy, which is a lovely little character. And that way, you don't need a keyboard and a mouse, and you just have to hook it up to a TV, but most people have access to a TV of some sort, and they can play games with the Pi, and so it's a really easy way to get started with the Raspberry Pi. And then if they're interested in doing more, they can install Raspbian, they can play Minecraft, they can do Pixel. Like the Raspberry Pi Zero is as powerful as the original Raspberry Pi. It can do quite a lot. You can play Scratch with it. You can hook up USB devices and a hub. But we wanted to make sure that everything that came in the box was self-contained so that people could get started with Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some show and tells, and very young kids got their ADABOX, and at least one of them came on the show and tell. I think there might have been a couple more, but I remember one clearly. And the delight of being able to make something that you can play video games on.
And it's your own.
And it's your own. And
just share with your parents.
And then when you said you can put Minecraft on it.
The kid was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, just the idea that you can make something and put games on it yourself.
And then customize, make it different. So I think this is really neat, and this went really well with my theme here, which is I wanted to make good gifts for children and beginners, children's at heart, people who are just starting out. This is a really good pack, because the amount of effort we put into it to try to make it a fully complete experience. I think really paid off for a lot of people because they could just jump in, and we have a ready-to-go SD card image. You just burn the image to the SD card, and then it even comes with a bunch of free games, so you don't have to like figure out how to install ROMs. You're like, oh, I can start playing games immediately.
All right, well, let's go to some of the stuff that was in it.
And we got a lot of cool freebies.
Yeah.
And info cards, stickers. Raspberry Pi Foundation donated issues of the Magpie, which is a really cool magazine. So after you finish building this project, you can then get ideas for more projects from the Magpie, which is the official magazine.
A cool card that they put in.
Yeah, they got cards with graphics, and of course, now that you have the hammer headers, you can add any of their wonderful fats and hats, and they've got a ton. And
then special offers and more.
EagleCAD.
Autodesk,
Yeah, we designed the Joy-Bon in EagleCAD, and we kind of have this cool, like, neon-y, retro-y graphic.
Yeah. And then here's one of my favorite parts. DigiKey Corner.
DigiKey Corner!
And DigiKey made a video, and I thought I'd play this now.
Yeah. Beep, beep.
Hello AdaBox fans, I am Kevin with DigiKey Electronics, and I'm here to show you a few of the modifications I did to the ADABOX005. So when the folks at Adafruit told me that we're going to have a retro gaming system, I was pretty excited, because this is what I was using for my retro gaming system. Nothing against it, it works great. It uses the Raspberry Pi 3, an Adafruit 10.1 inch screen, a DigiKey speaker, and then of course the old school gamepads. But this thing is like the old 90s boombox you put up on your shoulder. It's a little cumbersome for, if you're going to go compact. So Adafruit came up with this. They're using the Pi Zero with the Adafruit Joy bonnet. I also 3D printed the mount for it so you can have a little compact gaming system. And I'll definitely post up the project on maker.io and post a link with this as well, so you guys can go check that out. Now the screen will easily power off of the power supply that came with the Raspberry Pi. But if you want to use a portable battery, you sure can do that as well. DigiKey's offering this screen for a limited time 25% discount. So if you go to digikey.com/ADABOX005, you can purchase this screen. So now I'm just going to take this, I'm going to go sit at my desk and do some gaming. So thank you Adafruit, I'm going to go get my work done now. Let's take that off.
Okay.
Charming. That video game featured the mouse carts, which are famous
cool.
at DigiKey. They're the carts that they use to get around the warehouse.
Yeah, a little digitized AdaBot in there, a little Joy.
Yeah.
I guess we'll keep going through this, but one of the neat things is this also allowed us to introduce a new character in the Adafruit family. I like to call them Circuit Playground characters, and Circuit Playground Gridlet. So
you see AdaBot behind me.
Yeah, so Joy is the
She
pin.
loves to play games.
Yeah, and we're working on a real digital puppet, and this is going to be neat. So this is a preview, and this is using our LCDs, and it's a real game controller. And Joy will do things like, hey, you've been playing lots of video games, maybe take a break. Or, oh, I'm tired. Like, maybe Joy doesn't want to...
Or give you turbo button action. Come on, let's have some good times.
So it's like maybe a game controller that's like a Tamagotchi. You take care of the game controller in addition to it being a game controller.
Yeah, it's your little companion.
Yeah, so this is Joy Friend.
Yes.
All right. So that's a preview. This is this not out yet, don't ask section, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. What else do you want to talk about?
You want to show off the hammerheader video? Because this is really cool. This is one of the things that I thought was really neat was how to solve the problem of we wanted to give these Pi Zeros to people with an add-on, but we didn't want to have to solder 3,500 Pi Zeros because it would have, we want to put a lot of stuff in. We would rather just put more stuff in than have a solder. So Paimon hooked us up with these hammer headers, and they're super cool. So we will a video.
Okay.
Very satisfying. And after you hammer them, they actually make a good enough connection. We like really stress tested them. And you can play games for like hours and hours. I mean, we never broke them. They get cold weld the joints together. So you're good to go. You can play games all you like.
Okay. Want to do a couple questions?
Yeah, of course.
And then I have a preview video. So AdaBox is a year old, and we have this new video refresh. And I always have to say, like, this is just ideas that we have for upcoming AdaBoxes. But
the kitten is included.
We'll play that. That'll be what we play out at the end.
Yeah.
One of the questions is, can you name some of the games that you can play on it? Like, what are some of the retro games that you know?
Oh, well, I liked playing, old Nintendo games.
Yeah.
So, like, I've, played, some of the games that I have owned, like Super Mario or Zelda. So
Yeah.
I kind of, like, got to play those again because, like, my Nintendo broke a long time ago. And I have these cartridges and I can't use them. So play those games. There's actually a really big community of people who do, they write games now. Like, even though a lot of these platforms are old, you can download games, but games for Nintendo or Sega, Super Nintendo even, you can play a couple games. Game Boy games, MAME, which is like arcade games like Arkanoid and Pac-Man type games. You can check those out. So, I mean, it's not the fastest Raspberry Pi, so like, it can't emulate like a PlayStation 1 or a Nintendo 64, but it can do like a lot of old fun retro games that you might have heard of. Like, Joe Grand wrote an Atari 2600 game,
Yeah.
Scuzzy Side, and I played that, and that works great. So check out the homebrew game community to see games that people are writing now. And they're
Yeah.
releasing for people to play on emulators.
Yeah. One of the questions I'll answer, because it comes up, and the question is downloading ROMs illegal? And so what you'll do is you'll always get misinformation or correct information or opinions or lots of things. So here's one thing you can do. You can look at a company like Nintendo, and they say, it's absolutely illegal, you can't do it. Then there's the groups of people that say, well, if you have a physical copy of the game, it's for personal use only. You've made a backup yourself from the ROM. Probably not. With things like this, you have to look at case law and precedents. And
But you don't even have to just download the games.
Yeah,
that
here's what
are
I would
from
say:
the,
if it's a big concern, good news. There's
have to.
so much stuff out there, including making your own games.
Well, all the games that come on the SD card image are all free, open source, and
Yeah.
homebrew games that have been released for people to
Yeah.
use freely. So, and they're actually really fun. Like, there's like a Lady Metroid game where like it's Princess Metroid.
Yeah.
And like that was a really fun game to play. You don't have to like download games if you don't want to.
So I would say, be smart, know the facts, look at the case law and things that are out there. And, intellectual property is not supposed to decrease the amount of things you do. It's supposed to eventually help society.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I think that's something a person has to decide on their own.
Yeah.
If they personally, they own something already, if they think it's okay or not for them to personally, they're not selling it, they're not doing anything. Yeah, it's a decision you have to make on your own. Luckily, like if you don't even want to think about it, there's way better games now that are free and open source.
One of James's friends ported The Witness, not like the exact same game, but like he basically wrote a similar game for Nintendo and released it, and I played that too. So that was kind of fun.
Can we learn how to program PICs with Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, you can. I don't know about exactly PICs, but microcontrollers you can program via Raspberry Pi. I program AVRs and SAMDs and Cortex M0s with the Raspberry Pi all the time. OpenOCD was ported to the Raspberry Pi, and you just wire the pins up directly, and you can do it. And AVR Dude also works with it directly, so you absolutely can do it.
Okay, well.
Or you can use Arduino within Raspbian if you want to use like a GUI interface.
Okay. Well, that's our live unboxing. You said keep it to half an hour. You did the video. You got this. Do you want to show this stuff under the?
Yeah, I thought I'd show the display just because
we
have this demo.
Wrap it up.
So this is the display that DigiKey has. So it's our smallest like high-res display, but it's 800 by 480, so you can play games. So I can show like, let now the screen's back on. So Super Princess. Yes, this is a fun game to play.
Super Princess.
Yeah, it's a calf Metroid, but you're a princess. So yeah, it was written by Monus Games as part of a game in 2016 as part of a Game Boy Jam.
Yeah.
But what's neat is it's a full game.
You can maybe show that you're playing on the...
Yeah, sorry. I'll move up here. Hey.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, like, you don't necessarily need to worry about the current disaster of a lot of intellectual property issues.
Ooh,
There's
tough.
plenty of great things that you can play right now.
All right, hold on. How do I don't know how to get here. Hold on.
Another question. Can you run Windows on a Raspberry Pi?
You can't. It doesn't have the right kind of processor to run Windows. The Raspberry Pi 3 can run Windows IoT, but it's not like Windows the way you normally expect it. But you can run Raspbian Pixel, which is pretty much the same as Windows. You know, you can edit files, and you can browse the internet, and you can look at videos, and you can, like you said, play Minecraft and Scratch. So it's not as fast as it's as fast as like a phone, not as fast as a laptop or computer. But you can definitely like browse the internet with it. Connect keyboard and mouse, and like write papers or like make art and play games.
Yeah. So if you pointed out, it would be fun to make a sampler game controller with Joy Bonnet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stuff as Kirby said, that screen also makes a good monitor for digital cameras, following the guide from Noah and Pedro, and it has a good guide on running it from a camera battery.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sophie, who made
Thanks,
the most
Sophie.
delightful project. It was
They made the selfie bot.
It was a selfie bot that
So cute.
it's a friend. It was delightful.
I think my favorite part about
Yeah.
It was like,
Scott
it was
showed us a video.
printing out,
Yeah.
making the sounds of printing.
Yeah, she's in the chat right now. And actually, like, Scott's right here. Scott, wave. There he is.
We have kept him
Yeah,
hostage.
that's right. I was gonna have him like put a little box around his head and have it pretend that he was like, this is like a Google Plus Hangout or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, he would be in a little box here.
Oh, he would just be the box, and be like,
Like
hey,
right
we're
here.
hanging out.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
and it would just be like, that's really nice resolution. How's he doing that?
Yeah.
So okay. Well, that's it.
That's cool. All
Another
right.
AdaBox.
Well, if people have more questions, of course, chat in the Discord chat or in the forums. So far, everyone's been able to get their AdaBox working. I haven't heard anybody have any issues. We made it as easy as possible to get going so that you can then explore your Pi adventure. I hope you have fun with this AdaBox. And this is a really good introduction to Raspberry Pi. We'll be doing something a little different with the next AdaBox.
Speaking of, here's some previews of some of the things we might do. Who knows?
But it's just ideas.
It's ideas.
Ideas.
All right.
Concepts.
Here we go. Bye, everybody.